Christmas is next week, and we are just now getting to one of our favorite Christmas winter activities, and that's making wreaths. The types of wreaths that we like to make are just collected from the hills around us and from our garden. We've got just a little bit of everything here. We've got some eucalyptus that's still nice and green in the garden. Rosita just cut that tonight. Some ivy, some invasive, annoying ivy, but it's good for such a time as this. Also still nice and green. Some Frasier Fir. We bought this at the pot house, at a local nursery. You could just forage this if you have access to foraging. Always ask for permission and never forage where you shouldn't, but this is also readily available. Eastern white pine, or just white pine. This grows everywhere here in southeastern Ohio. It's not my favorite, but it's a nice filler to use in wreaths.
It adds a good texture because it's a little longer than some of the other evergreens.
Some autumn sedum from the garden, and then some Russian sage that's also dried and twiggy from the garden. The rule of thumb, I think, when you're making a wreath is to just collect textures.
Right.
And your recipe could be totally different than this and totally awesome. But our goal was to get just different textures.
Mm-hmm. And this, do you want to just hold that up? This is kind of how we make our wreaths too. We'll put a little bundle together.
Right.
It's almost like you make little bouquets and just wire them to the wreath form.
Layer a little bit of every element that you have. And you know, stuff like this, you could maybe wait a little bit and not put that on every bundle, maybe just every so often.
Right.
And also long twiggy details. I like to just do those occasionally. Mm-hmm. But do something like that. And then we'll show you how we put that on the wreath.
And you can do, like I'm thinking too, with the long twiggy things, you can add those in later.
Yeah.
Like if you've got your wreath made, you can sort of tuck those longer wispy strands in later and they'll stay.
Right. So I'm gonna be making a large wreath. I am dramatic and I like over the top stuff. So I love big, full statement pieces. She likes whimsical small things.
I love really small things.
Are you making a full wreath or what are you making?
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah, it's gonna go the whole way around.
Because when it comes to wreaths, you don't always have to do a full wreath. You can do like just, partial ones that have sprays going off. Those take a little bit of work to get them to look right. I have not been able to master that. But my favorite is a full wreath. So that's what we're gonna do for you today.
We've prepped our wreaths with a little bit of wire. I just made a little wire hanger, twisted it around a couple times, looped this a little bit, tied this, and now we're ready to go. So like there's wire here and it's connected to what's here in my hand. And we'll just use this to be wrapping all the little bundles to the wreath.
Yes. Okay, so I'm gonna just go ahead and start with this. You'll notice that the twigs are all long and ungainly down here. I'll always snip those off. My rule of thumb when I'm making a wreath is to make short, tight bundles, and then I lay them on the form alternating in and out. So my bunches that are facing out, and you kind of overlap them too, but my bunches that are facing out will have the long twigs. The inner ones will be a little bit more compact. But you're gonna be a lot happier if you keep your bundles trimmed down to you don't want it to stick past the wreath on the other side. So as you're layering, always, I try to give like a 3-point to it. Give a little bit something taller out the top, and you can alternate what that is with each bundle that you do. And I like to layer them in differently every time I do them. It gives like dimension to the wreath. All right, so this is how mine looks by now. And it's gonna take me a lot longer than her, as you can see. Okay, so when you go to make wreaths, cut long branches of whatever you have, and then I like to use the whole branch if I can. Maybe the bottom part won't be usable, but you can cut apart every strand, and this all becomes texture for your, because again, you want to keep your bundles as compact and chubby as possible. You want chubby bundles, not big long strands. Frasier Fir the same way. I can get a lot of usable stuff off of this. It's tempting just to do one big thing and be done, but I would cut it apart about like here, 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 and here. So that's what it looks like when you put it on the wreath. And always, always, always trim it off. Find my top. Here are our wreaths. Largo and Smallow. It took forever to make it, but it was fun. What I usually like to do when I'm done making the wreath is to lay it flat. And I tend to put all of my wispy elements on the bottom, so I want to tuck a few in the top too, and you can do that. If you see some spots that need a little attention, just tuck things in afterward. Mm-hmm. I ended up not using any wispy bits because I didn't think they really fit. I like how they look in hers, but mine is too small. I didn't like how it looked. Every once in a while having a twig coming out of a really small one, I think it looked as good. I'm sure it was fine, but I really like that one. You have some hydrangea worked in there too, some old brown hydrangea. And did we tell them about the ivy? Yeah, I think we talked about the ivy. I did stick the hydrangea in later. I realized it was hard to tell where it should be placed, and I'm not even sure if the placement's right now, but it was easier just to tuck those in, sort of stick them into the wreath form after the wreath was done. Right, yeah. So there you have it. Hope you all have some wreath fun this year if you haven't already, and we wish you a Merry Christmas. Yes.